Have you ever been in a meeting, you're making a point you think is brilliant, only to look around and realize no one's really with you? That feeling of disconnect is exactly what we're going to tackle today. Welcome to Lesson 5 of our course, Lead with Grounded Confidence. Today we're diving deep into communication that doesn't just pass along information, but actually inspires real, genuine confidence in other people. And by the way, if you're looking for more content just like this, bVentured.com Academy is a fantastic place for all sorts of great professional development courses. Okay, so here's what we've got on deck. I'm really excited to walk you through this. First, we'll talk about the power of confidence, why it's the real goal of effective communication. Then we're going to break down the core elements, the essential building blocks you've got to master. After that, we'll get super practical with techniques you can use to really inspire your team. And to wrap it all up, we'll chart out your next steps on this leadership path.
So let's start with the big idea here, the power of confidence. Just for a second, think about a leader you truly respect. I'd be willing to bet they're not just a great talker, but they're also an incredible listener. And that's because great communication is, without a doubt, the cornerstone of leadership. It's how you build trust. And let's be honest, without trust, you can't lead anyone through challenges, uncertainty, or towards a big, ambitious goal.
This right here, it just nails it. Confidence isn't just about how you feel about your own abilities. It's about how you make everyone around you feel. When you communicate well, you're doing so much more than just sharing facts. You're building this powerful, shared belief in what's possible. You're showing your team, I trust you, and that, in turn, helps them trust you and the vision you're building together.
Okay, so if inspiring confidence is our North Star, what are the actual building blocks we need to get there? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the core elements of communication. Let's really dig into the what before we get to the how. These 6 elements right here, they're your bedrock. First, we've got clarity, because if your message gets lost in translation, well, nothing else really matters. Then we'll dive into active listening, which is so much more than just waiting for your turn to speak. We'll look at nonverbal cues, the stuff you say without saying a word. We'll explore empathy and emotional intelligence, which is really the heart of it all. Then transparency, the absolute key to trust. And finally, constructive feedback, which is the tool for real growth. All right, first up, clarity and conciseness. This one sounds so basic, right? But it's where a ton of communication breaks down. It's all about cutting through the corporate jargon and the fluff. Here's a little trick I like. Use the grandma test. Could you explain this idea to your grandma and have her get it right away? If not, you need to simplify. Being clear isn't dumbing things down, it's a sign of respect for people's time.
Now, this one is a game changer. Active listening is not just being quiet while someone else talks. It's about being 100% present. It's about listening to understand, not just to cook up your reply. It means hearing the hesitation in someone's voice or understanding the real question behind their words. When people feel genuinely heard, they feel valued, and that is a huge deposit into the confidence.
We also have to talk about what you're saying when you're not even speaking. Your nonverbal cues, your body language, can sometimes be louder than your words. Try this. Next time you're in a conversation, just take a quick mental note of your posture. Are your arms crossed? Are you looking down at your phone? Little shifts like making eye contact, uncrossing your arms, leaning in a bit, these signal that you're open and trustworthy, and it makes a massive difference.
So this brings us to empathy and emotional intelligence. Think of it like this. Empathy is feeling with someone, putting yourself in their shoes. Emotional intelligence is the broader skill of not only understanding those feelings, but also managing your own emotions and navigating social cues effectively. A leader who has both can walk into a room, sense the vibe, and respond in a way that truly connects with people instead of pushing them away.
Of course, none of this really works without a solid foundation of transparency and honesty. This means you got to be straight with your team, even when the news is tough. It means being okay with saying, I don't have all the answers right now. It is so much better to say, that's a great question, I need to find that out and get back to you, than to fake it. That kind of vulnerability, it builds an incredible amount of trust.
And our last core element is all about how we help people improve. The difference between constructive feedback and just plain criticism is all about your intent. Criticism is an attack on the person. Constructive feedback, on the other hand, is about the situation or the behavior, and its whole purpose is to help that person grow. It turns a challenge into a learning moment. One builds people up, the other just tears them.
Okay, so we have our 6 building blocks. Now it's time to talk about how we actually put them together. How do we go from knowing these things to actually doing them? In this next section, we're going to cover 4 really powerful techniques you can start using, like today, to actively inspire confidence in others.
We're going to start with storytelling, because that's how we connect as human beings.
Then, we'll talk about communicating a clear vision, because people need to know where they're going and why. Next up is maybe the most powerful one of all, becoming a role model. And finally, we'll dive into how to encourage collaboration, because the best ideas rarely come from just one person.
So, storytelling. Look, facts and figures are fine, they inform us. But stories are what move us to action. So instead of just saying, we need to be more resilient, tell a story about a time the team faced a huge setback and came back stronger. A really simple way to structure this is the STAR method. Talk about the situation, the task at hand, the action you took, and the result. It makes your message stick.
And this is absolutely critical. It's all about the why. It's one thing to tell your team what their new sales target is. It's another thing entirely to paint a picture of why that target matters. What bigger future are you all building together? How does their specific job connect to that grand purpose? A powerful why is the fuel that keeps the engine running when the work gets hard.
This one is so simple to say, but so hard to do consistently. You have to walk the talk. If you tell your team that work-life balance is important, but then you send emails at 11 o'clock at night, they see that disconnect. If you want a resilient team, you have to model what resilience looks like. You have to be the one who stays calm under pressure, who admits when you've made a mistake. Remember, as a leader, you are always on stage.
And finally, you have to actively cultivate a collaborative space. And this means more than just having meetings. It's about creating psychological safety. It's about building an environment where even the newest person on the team feels safe enough to say, hey, I see this differently. Want a simple tactic? In your next meeting, make a point to go around the room and ask for input from every single person, especially the quiet ones.
Okay, we've gone over the core elements. We've talked through the key techniques. So now I want you to just take a brief pause with me and really think about this. What is just one thing you can do differently this week based on what we've talked about? Maybe it's truly practicing active listening in your next one-on-one. Or maybe it's telling a short story in your next team meeting. Pick one small thing. So where do we go from here? You've got the toolkit now. The next step is just to start using it. And remember, becoming this kind of leader, one who inspires confidence, it's not a one-and-done thing. It's a skill you practice and refine for your entire career.
And I really hope you'll continue this journey with me. In our very next lesson, we're going to build right on top of what we learned today and tackle another huge leadership challenge, making decisions when everything feels uncertain. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there as we continue to build our grounded confidence together.
And hey, to help you really make this stuff stick, we've put together some awesome resources for you. We've got quizzes to test what you've learned, detailed notes you can review, and a really handy infographic that summarizes all the key points from today. Just check out the link in the description or head on over to bVentured.com to find it all. Thanks so much for learning with me today.